Between March 28th and March 30th, three people were killed by police across Quebec, including Abisai Cruz, who was killed by the hands of police in Montreal. This raised renewed concern about state violence and the treatment of marginalized communities in Montreal. In the city, the deaths sparked public demonstrations and calls for accountability as community members responded to what many view as part of a broader systemic crisis. In this conversation, we speak with community worker and organizer Stéphanie Germain, who attended one of those protests. While not an organizer of the event, Germain brought her perspective as someone working closely with impacted communities on the ground. We discussed the social and political weight of the moment, the ongoing erosion of trust between police and racialized communities, specifically youth, and the need to rethink public safety from the ground up. Germain also reflects on the role of community workers in responding to this crisis and the importance of approaching violence as a public health issue, one that calls for structural change and sustained investment in community led solutions. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you
Hi.
so much for allowing us to have this interview with you. I was first wondering if you could please state your name and your title.
Yeah, so my name is Stéphanie Germain. I would say that I am a community organizer, community worker.
Perfect. And I did want to talk to you about the protest you attended in April
Yeah,
for Episar Cruise. And I wanted to know to start if you could share what motivated you to participate and also speak at the protest since you also held a speech.
yeah. Well, thank you for the question. I would say that the first thing that motivated me is that when I saw the video, I was really shocked, but I couldn't really understand. So, and I saw like so many people share the video. I was like, okay, something strange is going on, but I didn't have any information. But then, since I'm a community worker, I have a lot of project that I do with the youth, and they all started to send me the videos and sharing that with me and telling me like, see, Madame, they used to always call me Madame Stephanie. So they were like, yeah, there's this video, this happened. At Saint Michel, and I work also at Saint Michel. So I was like, how come I didn't hear about that? So when I dig, I said like I dig a bit into the story, and I saw like one of the friends' family share. He shared like a little post that saying that they will do. They were supposed to do like a gathering regarding this tragedy. So I was like, I need to show up, I need to go. And also because I knew there would be a lot of the youth that I work with. I also wanted to show, first of all, support to the family, but also just to be able to be there for all the youth that I'm working with on a daily basis. Because I was like, something strange is going on. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of answers. So it was also a way for me to really understand a bit, I would say precisely what is going on right now.
Thank you. And I know you talked about your experience and people reaching out to you actually to show you what was happening, and
Yeah.
you felt the need to be there to support the family as well, and also your work that you do with the community. So thinking about that, what was the not experience, but like I would say, like how was it being there? Like, how did you experience the public and community response during the event? How was the event like?
Yeah, well, I feel like, yeah, if I remember correctly, there was two. There was the first one. The first one was a bit, I would say, smaller. It was more like the family members, the community, the neighborhoods, the neighbors, sorry, who lives there. I would say the first time, so it was a bit smaller, but you can feel like a lot of pain, a lot of frustration. Um, Regarding the events sadly that just happened that left Abisai Cruz dead. So I don't know, it was really heavy, I can say also, because, it was for me the first time that I first saw the videos, and then after that to go directly when that the place where everything happened. So it was really emotional to see all his friends, crying, and you can see like in their eyes really like questioning what's why. And from what I I heard that time, there was a lot of neighbors. They were sharing like the way that they remember him. They would say he was so nice to his neighbors, with the kids and all these persons. So I was like, okay, so people knew him in a way, and the way when they showed the story in the media, it was not the same, the same person or the same way that the neighbors were portraying Mr. Cruz. And the other thing that I would say is that it was really like the first time for me. I would say that I saw a lot of youth talking like telling me, we want change, we wanna get involved, but we don't know how, we don't know where to go. So it was the first time that I would say that I can see like youth, especially like in those communities, talking like so clearly about like, okay, we understand that something bad really happened in the community and we don't understand why, and also nobody talks to us, so there was no like answers. So we didn't hear from the police, we didn't hear from the media, and also we didn't hear from the politics sector. So everybody was like, why is no one talking to us? So they really felt like left out. And that I remember when I heard all those testimonies, right? I really needed to talk to one of the community, not community, but one of the politician that I know, because I was like, what is going on right now? How come nobody is talking to the community? Because when you don't say a word, people really feel like mistreated. So yeah, I would say it was really painful, really heavy to hear all of the testimonies. Yeah, it's really important that when tragedies like that happen, we we can also remember the humanity of the person, regarding like his past, what the person did or did not do. And I would say that really to the media, because like I said, we saw like I think there was two or one article talking about like what he did in the past, and I was like, well, when I was there, the community members and the neighbors, the way they portray him is not the same. So I really feel like regarding of the past of the person, when somebody dies, um, and then and the end of the state, because it's a state violence that just happened. We need to remember the person as the human that he was, and remember that that person have a family, have a community that care for them. I'm part of a community, and I know so many kids, so many youth that are portrayed like they are criminals, like they do only bad stuff. I mean, like we all have a life, we all have a past, but we also are humans, and we have people that we love, but we also have people that love us. So this is the one thing that I would say, because I see that so much of the time, when somebody lost their life through, let's say, police brutality, state violence. Usually the media have the tendency to, I don't know, how can I say that, to accuse the person directly, not to give him like a chance. I would say not to give him like the benefits of the doubt. So yeah, that it was. I feel like this is really important to share, to remember the humanity of that victim. Yeah.
Thank you. And I did wonder because you did mention like the lack of like, let's say, I wouldn't consider it support, but like kind of a coming. with the community and talking to the community from medias and politicians. So, what would you have hoped in terms of actions taken by politicians and medias in terms of like supporting the community?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question because I feel like one thing that I really love is first of all, just talk to us, talk to the community because at the end of the day, this is a tragedy. Somebody lost their life and people saw like, I would say really traumatizing images. So it's like you cannot stay silent. You have to acknowledge that something happened first, and then you have to, I mean, basic human. You can also give your condolences to the family. And for me, when I think about the politicians, I'm like, you were elected by your community. They gave you their trust. You're supposed to, the minimum, acknowledge what happened. And I don't say like you have to, make a big statement because we know, there's so many things that you cannot say because of what just happened, and we have to, you know, let everything go through the way it has to go. But one thing that I would say is that you can and you must talk to your community. You must talk to the people because especially they elected you. They give you their trust. So for me it was like the bare minimum, and no one did the bare minimum. Go and see how the community feels about that. Talk to the elders, talk to the youth, talk to everyone to see just saying like, we know, we heard about that story, we heard about the tragedy. What do you guys need? What can we do? um, for you guys, just to make sure that you have a place that you can share how you feel, you can share the trauma. So none of that was done. So for me, I felt really frustrated with them. And the other thing that I would say is that the way that the media didn't cover that story really is, it was really because of the community work. It was really because the community get together and protest. It was really when the protest happened, and now we saw like the media coming into the community, asking for question. But if it wasn't for the community itself, I don't think that the media would have covered that story really. Yeah.
Thank you. I did want to ask because obviously, like, you've put a lot of emphasis on community, right? And you did mention during one of your speeches, during your speech, that
Yeah.
there was a lot of anxiety felt by the community due to the lack of answers from institutions like media, politicians, but also police, right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, like, how important was it for you and the community to kind of connect the vigil to a broader, if I can say, critique of police brutality? Because obviously, like, Abisai died at the hands of police, and there were other people who died at the hands of police also the same weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. um can you repeat the question for me, please? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry because I tend to.
No.
So, during your speech, you mentioned anxiety felt by the community due to the
Yeah.
lack of answers.
Hmm.
How was it important for you to connect, well, not just for you, but for the community to connect this vigil with a broader critique of police brutality?
I would say when we saw the videos, when we saw what was going on, it felt like something that we've seen before, especially because Mr. Cruz was from Honduras, if I don't mistaken, and Freddie Villanueva. He's also like the same ethnicity, the same background. So for us, he was really like something that we kind of feel like we lived for the past, I would say, 10, 20 years ago. So it was really, really shocking because when Freddie Villanueva lost his life to the hand of the police, there were so many, I remember politicians, so many people talking, saying that there will be change, everything's going to change. And I remember there was like meetings with the community members and police officers trying to talk, talk about like the issues going on. And I feel like we had so many conversation, we did so many, recommendation regarding like how can the police change the way they intervene with the communities who were historically marginalized, right? So when something like that happened, it's like we feel like, for me especially, I feel like I lost a lot of credibility when I talk to the youth, when I tell them respect the law, do what you have to do, because when they see videos like that, when they see police brutality, they're like, "Well, you guys are asking me to do the right thing, but what about the police? What about them when they do something bad? Who is looking at? Who is telling them that this is wrong?" So this is really, I would say, painful and also discouraging, because we do so much community work because we want safety within our communities, because we are the first affected by that non-safety. But when something like that happen, it's like, let's say we have to rebuild every time. We have to do the work over and over again. So yeah, I felt like the community members felt that too. It's like we are the first, the families are affected by that, the youth themselves, and then the community, but also broader the society. Because for me, when we think about security, when we think about safety, we need to think about health also. That's why I always say, like, we need to think about violence also as a health public issue, because when violence happen, and I would say let's put it on into the state violence, because any type of violence for me, it's a state violence, because it's a shared responsibility, right? So when that happened, I feel like we don't think about the way that violence affect us, affect like our health, the way we feel, the way when we wake up, the way we engage with each other. So I think the health of the community members are often left alone. When we think about violence, it's always like security, security, but what about the well-being of the community who are facing those violence?
Thank you. That's a very interesting point, considering that, as you said, it's not really often talked about. You really hear about safety rather than actual like well-being.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because you did talk about the impact on the communities you've worked with, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but how have you seen the relationship between those communities and institutions such as police? Um,
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing is really like the trust, because we always say, I feel like when we talk about like police reform, one thing I'm hearing a lot is how can we build the trust back? But the question I always have is like, can you tell me when there was a trust? Honestly, I don't really recall a member. I don't really recall. I'm sorry, a period of time when we can say like there was so much trust within the community, the marginalized community, and the police. I don't, and I'm always asking the same question, and I'm like, if somebody have an answer for me, please tell me, because as far as I remember, there were never really a time when the community, the marginalized community, had this really great relationship with, let's say, those kind of institution, right? I don't remember that that time. Maybe I missed part of history, but as long as I can remember, there was really, there was never really like a trust, relationship. And I feel like the word trust, it's really like a strong word, and sometimes it's just get we talk about trust, but what does trust look like? What does trust even mean when we have a power dynamic? Yeah, what does what does trust look like in the community when something like the death of a community member happened and no one and the institution take the time to address it. For me, I would say this is that kind of thing that really break the trust. But larger than that, I would say like we need to understand the real definition of trust, and we have to act accordingly to that. And also for me as a community worker, I every time, let's say someone dies and the end of the police, I have to rebuild the trust, because I'm telling all the youth and all the kids to respect, the authority, to do what's right, because they have responsibility, right? But I feel like every time something happens, it also affect my work, the community work that I do, because I'm saying all these nice words to them. I'm preaching. I'm saying yes, let's build, let's do this. But at the same times, when stuff like that happens, sometimes I'm out of words. I don't know what to say sometimes. I don't know, because sometimes there is nothing to say. There is nothing to say, and I feel like usually the community workers, we have this tendency to take so much on our shoulders, but we cannot do this work alone, right? So yeah,
Thank you. I was wondering because you did mention the lack of answers as well.
yeah,
There is often pressure on communities to stay calm,
yeah,
or be peaceful. And I know that even after Abisai Cruz's death as well, police asked people to wait and, like, be patient. So what do you think that says about how, like, our society views marginalized anger and grief?
yeah. Well, I mean, that says it all, right? When they told us to, when they say to us, stay calm, be patient, we can see clearly that they really don't understand the pain of a community group who has just lost someone. Because how can you tell people to stay calm when you don't even, first of all, acknowledge what happened, and also you don't give the community a space to share their truth, I would say. Like, people, I feel like the only thing that they can do is take the street, right, and protest. And also, even for me as a community worker, I have this responsibility, right? Because I have to tell people, yeah, you can do it, but please be peaceful. In a way, me too, I'm doing that. Because I know for a fact that when, if something happened within the community during the protest, they the community itself is gonna be the one who pay, because the next day the city is not gonna come, let's say, to clean or to make sure they are gonna pay the price um of their anger, if I can say it like that. So it's like there's no way around. It's like we can never win. So that's why for me, even for me, I need to say it, and also for me, I need to stay calm, because I know there's so many things that I can lose if I don't. So I have to self center. I have to suppress my emotions, because I know like what can happen to me if I don't, like, let's say, follow the rules, or if I don't do the thing, if we don't protest in a right way, right? And I feel like this is really hard, because when you look at when you look into the eyes of all those kids, you see the pain. It's hard to tell them like what to do, because at the end of the day, this is their place, this is their community, and they get to leave that. So we left them with not much, I would say. Yeah.
What, well, what has been the impact of Abisai's death on the communities you're part of? or in close contact with. But we already talked about grief, anger, pain, and the lack of trust with police. I don't know if there's other stuff that you've noticed.
Well, I think that I would say that when, because again, I don't want to talk about this case specifically, right? Because I want to respect the family's privacy. And but one thing that I would say is that when someone again die in the end of the police institution, there's a lot of like suppressed emotion that comes up, and people start start to talk about not only like let's say the police brutality, but they start to talk about like everything surrounding their lives. They talk about like the way they feel like the neighborhood is not clean, the way that they don't have access to the same services that another neighborhood. They start to talk about like the way they are treated by the system, and I feel like every time those suppressed emotion comes up, it's a broader conversation about the way communities who are historically marginalized have not evolved in the past years, and how like it's the same thing that keeps on showing up. They don't see the kids and the youth, they don't really see like the way, let's say when they would vote for someone, and that person would say, yeah, I'm gonna bring this to the community, I'm gonna do this, and it's like all of a sudden they remember that, they're like, well, let me wait a second, they said they would do this park, they said they would had like play games for the kids, and they did not do it. So I feel like it kind of forced the community to have a reflection of their well-being, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you. And in your opinion, if you're comfortable answering this question, what are the systemic roots behind the police violence we continue to see in Montreal?
What are you said, what are the roots?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is a long story.
Oh,
um I think maybe I would say the lack of accountability, I would say, first of all, and also I would say the complicity of the media and the politician also. Sometimes they don't like, they, I don't know, the silence says something, right? So when one institution does something that clearly make the community like remember, or like thinking about like the trust, questioning the trust, I would say, and another institution don't like, let's say, ask a question, that kind of, for me, is a demonstration of the root cause of those type of situation. Because there's supposed to be like, en français we say like a chien de garde, that I would say supposed to be the justice system, right? To be there and just to make sure like, okay, everybody's doing their job the right way, everybody's respecting the law. But I feel like sometimes when I think about like the past, you know, situation that we had to lose someone as a community group, we always felt like people usually don't get justice. And when the community don't get justice, I feel like this is the root cause of all of that, because we need to put justice first. And this is why I do the work that I do. For me, just a sense of justice, because when I saw the videos, when I saw like the youth, getting mad and reacting on social media. Um, for me, it's just a sense of justice to show up for the family, to show up for my community. And I feel like if everyone had that sense of justice, that would be, maybe we can talk about trust, maybe we can talk about change, because justice should always prevail. And sometimes we are questioning that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're reaching 30 minutes. So I did want to ask, is there anything that I did not ask that you want to talk about, share, discuss?
Laisse-moi penser. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose?
Je vais couper les petits bouts, donc il n'y a pas de
Ouais.
problème.
J'essaie de penser. Mm, I don't think so. I don't think so, really. Well, maybe one thing that I would say is that I think that we have to really value the work of the community workers more, um, because I would say that we do like miracles with not a lot. And sometimes also I can say it's not all about the money, because sometimes we think that when we have money, we can change the world. No, it's really how can we shift the paradigm regarding state violence, I would say. So we all have to think about like the way, as a community, we can bring safety within our community. Is not always to think about, like, let's say, the classic way to view violence, I would say. For me, for the past years, I really digged into what does violence means really, and how does violence affect the well-being of the community members, of the families who just lost their loved one. And that's why I came up with this thinking of, what if we think about violence as a health public issue? We would change the way that we intervene. We would change the way that we react when a violence occurs within a community. So yeah, that one thing that I would say, because during my research, saw that, let's say, in the USA, they really think about violence as a health public issue, and they came up with some new ways to, I would say, treat violence within their community, that we could take example from that, to first address the state violence, but also to bring healing and wellness within our community when violence occur. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for this interview. It
Thank you.
was really great to talk to you and hear your insight and what you've been doing for work as a community organizer and worker. So I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and just, like, allow us to talk about this topic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.